It's no secret that the Los Angeles Lakers have had loads of issues with their current team. Name it: health, chemistry, production. They have been the perfect example of underachievement. However, one issue that continues to show up every single game is Talen Horton-Tucker. They officially have a Horton-Tucker problem. Through 18 games, he has put up 11 points, 3 assists, and 3 rebounds while playing 30 minutes a game. Now, that stat line is not all bad until you get to the efficiency. THT is shooting 39% from the goddamn field and 23% from downtown. Everyone jokes about Westbrook and LeBron, calling them Westbrick and LeBrick, and rightfully so at times. But what about Talen Horton-Bricker? He has been absolute trash. In fact, calling him trash would be an insult to trash. Most of his abysmal performances have been his fault, but it has not all been on him. There has been a ton of pressure for THT to produce quickly, which is not entirely his fault. As expected, the Lakers have been trying to build a win-now team around LeBron in the effort to maximize one of the greatest players to ever play the game. As a result, they have traded away any resemblance of youth. Julius Randle, gone. D'Lo, gone. Brandon Ingram, gone. Lonzo Ball, gone. Josh Hart, gone. Now, the movement of those pieces is justified because they ended up winning a championship thanks to their departure. However, this past offseason, they also let go of Alex Caruso and Kyle Kuzma. As a result, there was absolutely no youth left on the team. In fact, the youngest player at the time was Anthony Davis. So the Lakers decided to re-sign Talen Horton-Tucker, who was only 21, to a 3-year deal worth roughly $30 million. At the time, it was not a bad deal. It was an investment in a player who actually showed some great promise in his first 2 years in the league, but it has not paid off in dividends this year at all. The biggest sign for a young player is their progression from year to year. Although THT showed really great progression from his rookie year to his sophomore year by increasing his production across the board, an increase in minutes and touches led to an increase in points, assists, and rebounds, while maintaining his efficiency despite more volume. Many expected that jump to continue into his junior year, but to a bigger extent. And to his credit, it has improved in some areas. His points, rebounds, and steals have increased while his turnovers have decreased. That is good, but the reason he is trash and an insult to trash is due to his inefficiency. As you can see, while his volume and minutes have gone up considerably, his efficiency has completely and utterly tanked. It's crazy how bad he has been. This is why the Lakers have a Talen Horton-Tucker problem. Not only is THT making $10 million a year, but he is the 4th highest paid player on the team, right behind LeBron, AD, and Westbrook. Yet he is nowhere close to playing like the 4th best player on this team. But his lack of production does beg the question, why? Why is THT playing like trash despite having LeBron and the organization's seal of approval? I mean, it was only a year ago when there were rumors that the Lakers turned down a trade for Kyle Lowry because they wanted to keep THT. Even this offseason, it is rumored that the Lakers picked THT over Alex Caruso in free agency because of his potential. What the hell happened to this promising player? Why is he such a problem to this team? Well, you can break it down into 3 parts. One part is THT himself. His shot selection and lack of aggression to the rim has been very concerning. Last year, over 60% of his shots came from less than 8 feet around the basket, and he was converting those shots an efficiency of 55%. This year, that number has dropped all the way down to 52%, while still maintaining an efficiency of 54%. Same efficiency, just less volume. This is very concerning because THT's biggest strength is his ability to use his length and athleticism to finish around the rim. Taking less shots around the rim is not how he should be going about his production. And while taking more perimeter shots is not a big problem, the problem is his inability to convert those shots into points. He is plainly a shitty shooter. I mean, look at his shooting splits from outside of 8 feet. Although they were not very impressive last year, he found a way to be even more disappointing from the perimeter this year. He has not improved his shot at all over the offseason, and it has hindered his ability to play next to Lakers stars like the organization hoped. But like I said before, the entirety of his play is not all on him. Though he needs to be held accountable for his production and play, the second part is the role the organization and coaching staff played in the construction of his current team. While he did show promise in his first 2 seasons, he never ever showed any signs of becoming a shooter or a floor spacer for LeBron or AD. It did not help that the organization decided to go ahead and add Westbrook, another below average 3-point shooter and spacer. That addition put even more pressure on THT to produce from the perimeter, which would play right into his weakness. Think about it. If a player like LeBron needs spacing to thrive, the fuck you think a player like THT would need? On top of that, THT has shown that he is most comfortable with the ball in his hands. He does show flashes of being able to play off the ball, but he is best with a live dribble. But Westbrook has pretty much stolen his role in that regard. And with Westbrook on the team, there's not much use for THT anymore. And the more you think about this fit, the more you realize how badly this team has been put together. And the third part of the problem is his trade value. With LeBron playing out of his 100-year-old mind, there is immense pressure from the fans to capitalize on his greatness. So much so that trading THT is not out of the question. But the problem emerges is that THT does not have the value to net a player that can help this team from its misery. Players like Miles Turner, Jeremy Grant, or Eric Gordon all would take more than THT, and the Lakers have no more assets to spare. And he is not just some young player on a cheap contract anymore. He is getting paid a pretty penny and not performing up to that contract. That really diminishes his value more than people realize. I know I've pretty much shat on THT this entire video, but I still think the kid has some promise. He is only 21 and has shown flashes of being great. After missing the start of the season due to an injury, he came back with a boom. In his first 3 games back, he averaged 23 points, 7 rebounds, and 2 assists, while shooting 49% from the field, 40% from 3, and he was perfect from the free throw line. It was brief, but for a moment, everyone saw exactly what the Lakers thought THT could be. Now, I understand that it is completely stupid to rely on 3 games to determine the player's value, but it does show what he can be in the right situation. Now, in my opinion, the best thing for THT and the Lakers would be a divorce, where the Lakers acquire a floor spacer and THT joins a team that plays to his strengths, joins a coaching staff that lives up to his strengths. But if the Lakers cannot trade him for the right player, which I don't think they'll be able to do, I would just bench him so that he does not have to play next to Westbrook and LeBron. By allowing him to play either next to just one of them or preferably to none of them, it can allow THT to play more comfortable and play the game exactly how he wants to play it. Starting THT is not only hurting his production, but it's hurting every other starter's production too, because he just can't space the floor properly. With injuries and COVID protocol wiping out half the team, it would be hard to justify benching THT, because it can only help the shit show that the Lakers display on a nightly basis.